My name is Jason Hurd. I spent 10 years in the United States Army as a combat medic. I deployed to Baghdad in 2004. I'm here to return my Global War on Terrorism Service Medal in solidarity with the people of Iraq and the people of Afghanistan. I am deeply sorry for the destruction that we have caused in those countries and around the globe. I am proud to stand on this stage with my fellow veterans and my Afghan sisters. These were lies. I'm giving them back. I'm Stephen Lund. I'm a two-time Iraq combat veteran. This medal I'm dedicating to the children of Iraq that no longer have fathers and mothers.
When you get a biological that didn't have any I'm one of 40,000 people that left the United States Armed Forces because this is a lie.
My name is Steve Ashton. I'm from Fort, Wisconsin. I was a forward observer in the United States Army for just under 5 years. I deployed to Sadr City, Iraq in 2005. And I'm giving back my medals for the children of Iraq and Afghanistan. May they be able to forgive us for what we've done to them. May we begin to heal, and may we live in peace from here until eternity.
Hello, my name is Michael Thurman. I was a command subjector from the United States Air Force. Returning my Global War on Terrorism medal and my military coins on behalf of Private First Class Bradley Manning. You sacrificed everything to show us the truth about these wars.
My name's Nate. I served in the U.S. Navy from 1999 to 2003 and participated in the invasions of Iraq and Afghanistan. I was wrong to sign myself up for that. I apologize to the Iraqi and Afghani people for destroying your countries.
Wow, that was definitely interesting. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interest. Make sure you're subscribed and turn those notification bells on. Last week, we spoke about the U.S. Sinjar Agreement, international standards, the exchange rate and parallel black market rates, the electronic cashing starting on June 1st, and the oil policy agreement. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. Al-Farat News reports the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, Ali Mohsen Al-Alaq, receives a delegation of experts from the International Finance Corporation and the World Bank, headed by Marcel Rashid, supervisor of the finance market projects in Mashhad region. During the meeting, they discussed ways to develop the relations between the Central Bank of Iraq and the International Finance Corporation and develop a plan to establish a loan guaranteed company, which was proposed by the governor early in comprehensive study he presented on the building's national strategic basis for bank lending. While the central bank staff is responsible for the building the national strategy for lending according to its rules, the establishment of a loan guaranteed company is an important factor to stimulate lending by reducing the default rates of loans suffered by the banking sector in Iraq. Shafak News reported the Ministry of Oil announced that Iraq has informed the Turkish authorities of the resumption of oil exports from the port of Siham starting next Saturday. The Iraqi oil marketing company SOMO informed the Turkish company of its resumption of exports and loading operations as of Saturday, May 13th. Oil Ministry and Deputy Prime Minister for Energy Affairs, Hayyan Abdul Ghani, says in a statement to Shafak News that the Minister of Oil pointed out that the conclusion of contracting with international companies for the sales and marketing of crude oil from the Turkish ports of Siham in accordance with the mechanisms adopted by the Iraqi oil marketing company SOMO. The Ministry of Natural Resources in the Kurdistan region announced on Thursday that the Iraqi oil marketing company officially called on the Turkish side on Wednesday to resume the region's oil exports. And an Iraqi oil official said on Wednesday that the country's total oil exports in May were unlikely to exceed 3.3 million barrels per day, aimed continued suspension of productions from the Kurdistan region and the northern fields through Turkey, and export restrictions at the southern ports. The Prime Minister of the Iraqi government and the Kurdistan region agreed on a deal on April 4th to resume oil exports through the Turkish port of Sian. But despite numerous pledges of rapid restarts, no Iraqi crude oil has been loaded since Ankara halted exports on March 25th due to the international arbitration. Iraqi Oil Minister Hayyan Abdul Ghani says on May 3rd that he expected Baghdad and Erbil to complete within 2 weeks the agreement to resume the exports of crude oil through Sian. Ankara will also need to agree to reopen the Iraqi-Turkish pipeline that was closed as a result of the conflict. The Prime Minister of the Iraqi government and the Kurdistan region agree on an agreed deal on April 4th to resume oil exports through the Turkish port of Sian. And despite numerous pledges of rapid restarts, no Iraqi crude has been loaded since Ankara halted exports on March 25th due to international arbitration. Iraqi Oil Minister Hayyan Abdul Ghani says on May 3rd that he expected Baghdad and Erbil to complete within 2 weeks the agreement to resume the exports of crude oil through Sian. Ankara will also need and agree to reopen the Iraqi-Turkey pipeline that was closed as a result of these conflicts. Shafaq News reported the Central Bank of Iraq on Wednesday evening urges beneficiaries of the electronic payment services to take 3 measures. The Central Bank of Iraq said in a statement that it confirms the continuation fulfillment of companies' requests, financing a charge imports of goods and services, as well as financing the personal needs of all citizens, such as travel, treatment, and study through the electronic cash platform, and meeting the request of banks and electronic payment companies to enhance their balance to cover electronic payment card settlements such as Visa and MasterCard at the official exchange rate of 13.20 dinars per dollar. He added that this bank urges the beneficiaries of platform services to 1. Traders go to established commercial companies at the company's registration department to ensure that their requests are met through the window of buying and selling foreign currencies at the flow and the official price. 2. Shops, malls, and stores provided the POS point of sales in order to facilitate the payment process for citizens to encourage them to use electronic payment methods. And 3. Citizens acquire electronic payment cards from the companies and banks to settle their various obligations through them. Economy News Baghdad reports the Council of Ministers decide Tuesday to increase the capital of Readins Bank and pay Iraq shares in the World Bank. Al-Sudani's office says in a statement that the Council of Ministers approved the increase the capital of Readins Bank approved by the Committee for Determining Corporate Capital in the Ministry of Finance by an amount of only 212 billion dinars, in addition to the current capital of the bank of only 26 billion dinars, to become an increase only 238 billion dinars to raise the capital of Readins Bank equal to other banks, based on the provisions and the amended General Company Law 22 of 1997. The Council approved within the course of financial and economic relations with the International Finance and Banking Institutes the recommendation of Ministerial Council for Economy 23072 BC regarding the payment of Iraq shares in the World Bank through the payment by ministry after the approval of the Federal General Budget Law of 2023, taking into account the new exchange rate between the dates of claim and the dates of payment. Shafaq News reports the Minister of Finance in the Kurdistan Regional Government announced on Tuesday that the federal government has deposited a financial amount of 200 billion dinars to finance the salaries of employees and workers in the public sector in the region. An implementation of decision of Federal Government Council of Ministry, 200 billion dinars have been transferred from Baghdad to the ministry's bank accounts, the minister said in a statement responding to Shafaq News. There's been no updates since then if salaries have been paid. Shafak News reports the Iraqi Council of Representatives decide on Tuesday to extend the current legislative terms. A brief statement by the media department of the House of Representatives in response to Shafak News Agency said that the extension until the vote on the federal budget law 2023. And according to Economic Euphrates News, the Parliamentary Finance Committee revealed that the Minister of Finance, Taif Sami, informed the committee that the government would challenge the draft financial budget law in one case. The Ministry of Finance confirms during her hosting in the committee that the appeal will be in the event of the budget reduction. Committee member Jamal Cougar says for that without charge program broadcast by Euphrates satellite channel, he added that the committee would go towards reducing or staying on the existing numbers. It is the right of the Ministry of Finance and the government to appeal to the federal court constitutionally, and we may go to transfer instead of reducing, noting that we reduced the deficit in the previous budget by about $4 trillion. But in the budget, we have not reduced the deficit so far and the allocations of ministry and bodies. He pointed out that we are facing the largest budget and the largest deficit in 3 years, and this requires great caution because of any mistakes in it will repeat for 3 years. He continued, the decision will not end on May 10th as the date was set by the State Administration Coalition, noting that the work of the committees continued for long hours and very intensively. Many topics in the budget have been resolved. The day of the vote on the budget will be in one parliamentary session, Cougar says, noting that next Tuesday will be the allocation to the discussion of the Financial Committee only without hosting to discuss the budget items, noting that the activation and strengthening resources and reductions of the priorities of discussion. Here is a video regarding some of those other budget concerns via Twitter.
Documents related to the Iraqi budget, drafted budget, shows that the Hashd al-Sha'bi, it's a paramilitary group's umbrella, which there are some prominent Iranian-backed groups are in this Hashd al-Sha'bi group, and their number in the past 2 years have doubled in size. And if the budget passed, now it will give 2.7 billion to the Hashd al-Sha'bi, which a part of these forces, they were working so hard to expel the U.S. forces in Iraq. And then don't you have any concern about the future of the nature of the role it will play in the future in Iraq?
This is largely an internal domestic matter for Iraq. I don't have an assessment to offer from here. What we support is a stable, prosperous, and democratic and unified Iraq. We have a strategic framework agreement, and that remains the foundation of our bilateral relationship, but I don't have anything else to offer.
And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East to U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq. I bring you the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always leave a super thanks or super chat. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar news. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.